welcome back to the POMCAST. This is the official podcast of Premier Online Marketing. And I think every episode, I'm your host, Sean Raines. Today, well, we have actually a return guest from Premier Online Marketing. We're digging into search trends with a very sharp focus on what matters most for small and mid-sized businesses. And with us is SEO strategist, resident algorithm whisperer, Andres Fernandez. He's the director of SEO at Premier Online Marketing. Welcome back to the podcast, Andres.
Thank you, Sean. Glad to be back with some news. Hopefully, good news.
It's good stuff. It's like right up your alley. This is so. We'll be talking about latest Google, the core update, the AI's growing impact, search behavior, cutting through all the noise to do what Premier Online Marketing does, which is just bring you practical, actionable insights. So let's get into it. I want to start with big picture, Andres. Let's just start because we're still early in 2025. How would you describe the overall direction of search in 2025? Like, what are the most important shifts that you're seeing that small businesses probably should understand?
Yeah, well, the biggest shift is how search behavior has been changing over the past couple of years. Google dominated all the search, most of the queries. Just everyone all the attention going to Google, and Bing had some search share for sure, but what we're seeing nowadays is more people are adopting LLMs, chatbots, ChatGPT, and all that. But also how Google is also displaying search results has changed with the AI overviews, and so we're seeing a significant shift in how people are searching, but also how search results are being served to the user. And that has had an impact in small businesses, local business websites, and people that would share their expertise about their industry and whatnot are now being buried under a wall of AI overviews, 5 ads, search snippets, and then finally showing their website. So unfortunately, that's the landscape of 2025 for search.
So let's dig in a little bit and start with this Google update that's happened here in March of 2025. Described by a lot of people as a core update. And I think a lot of people that follow your content and are in the digital marketing space, especially around SEO, are familiar with the fact that Google makes updates regularly all throughout the year, but some are much more significant. And it feels like this one here in March, the month we're still in, end of March, is pretty significant. So can you share with us what's changed and how might it be affecting local SEO for small and mid-sized businesses?
Yeah, so this core update, which just finished rolling out recently, it pretty much focuses on the quality and relevance of search results. And what this means is Google, once again, is focusing on content quality. They want to serve original, high-quality content. And especially with, LLMs, we're seeing the same content just regurgitated in a different way and with a different tone. And so Google is rewarding or wants to reward original content. Also, user-generated content is being rewarded. Forums and, of course, Reddit, Quora, all of those appear at the top when you have more of a conversational query. So there is, there is a push towards that, but more than just thinking about how can I improve my content is how can I add my industry expertise, which is crucial, right, for content quality, for user experience, and answering Google's questions. On top of that, Google is putting an emphasis in reviews, just trustworthiness signals like reviews, citations, even also just having high quality photos instead of like having renderings, but having high quality reviews, trustworthy reviews, um, and having high quality citations that are in line or very similar to your name, address, phone number, that match. All of that is very important for local businesses. I would say if you're not doing that, you're falling behind. And in the topic of high quality photos, we've seen in the past few years is that when people look for, just for an example, for a power sports dealership, if you look for a power sports or motorcycle dealer, you will get the local map pack, and then the thumbnail will be the storefront. Whereas if you look for side by sides for sale and you get served a map pack query, the thumbnail will change to a side by side, or an in-store picture of a group of side by sides. So super important to have all of those signals and really just have as much information and creative in your listings to maximize that.
Were there other types of businesses from a local SEO perspective that were impacted by the update? Were there like were there any like ranking changes that hit one vertical more so than another? I know you guys are heavy in apartments. Some people refer to that as multifamily. I know you guys are heavy with automotive, power sports, motorcycle dealers, RV dealers, lawyers. Are there any that kind of, oh my goodness, if you haven't, you should go and check that? Like, because I know that this thing I think just finished within the last couple of days, the full rollout. So are there businesses that you're like, hey, you guys are probably more likely to be impacted, for better or for worse?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so for us, the majority of the impact that we're seeing is in law firms, because for law firms, the good thing about law firm SEO is that you have the ability to create content at a state level because of different laws and regulations, and even at a county level. And so what we're seeing is that when attorneys create original content, that content gets pulled from their blogs, and then it gets served as an AI overview. And so an AI overview is a zero-click search, which means that it answers the user's question or query, and they don't create any traffic. They don't get pulled into the attorney's website, so they don't go through the funnel, or they lose the chance to get some brand awareness out there. And so we're seeing for some attorneys just lose on that traffic, clicks and impressions. Well, clicks actually, not impressions, but clicks going down because of this AI overview and just the new way of searching. But
Interesting.
in the realm of bottom funnel local searches, everything stays the same. I think that the good news is that AI overviews don't seldom impact local searches, map pack searches, and we've even had some clients asking us if we could rank them in ChatGPT for map pack searches, and there's a whole way of AI proofing your website for sure, but it's still the attention is still on Google, and so shifting strategies to Chat GPT or something like that is not ROI. It's not a good return of investment for sure.
I want to ask you a little bit about structured data, and you also mentioned a little bit of the AI readiness. There's certainly a lot of discussion and effort that people are trying to execute against strategies for showing up in search visibility whether they're using ChatGPT and its ability to crawl the web, search the web, or Grok, or whatever their favorite LLM is. Several of them are now web enabled. There's a structured data conversation that I think plays in both, standard organic optimization as well as now in the rise of AI. How, in just your opinion, like how important is structured data now in consideration of AI and LLMs as they search, the search results? I've been playing around with this myself. And is there something that you would tell a small business to do differently? Or is it still, it's same strategies right now, but is there anything that they should be doing differently or at least thinking about?
Yeah, well, structured data is a topic that I'm very passionate about. I've been, leaning heavily into structured data for a very long time. And for folks that don't know, structured data is basically a piece of code that you add to your website. That you added to, it's not invasive. It's just something that you can add. It's a script that just contains strings of code, and in those strings of code contain information about your business or the page that you're seeing, the web result that you're seeing. And so we use structured data currently for local SEO to basically give the crawlers more information about the business, service areas, entities, social media links, just leverage as much as we can the use of structured data to add as much information as possible. And the reason why we do this is because we like to add this to the homepage and to other pages as well, but primarily the homepage because it's the first page that Google crawls and is usually the one that's connected to your Google Business Profile URL. And so that's where Google gets most of their information. And since it is just a string of code that doesn't need rendering, it doesn't need any processing or trimming or any type of like data consolidation. It's very lightweight and it's something that is very easy for crawlers to read and LLMs as well. There's been recent conversations in SEO conferences and other LLM like Twitter and such that mentions that LLMs, when they're consuming information from the internet, they give preference to structured data because it's just way cheaper to process, to render than getting the information off of the parsing a website, processing the information, etc. You can just grab it from structured data, and it's much cheaper, much lighter, and it's just a better way for that to feed crawlers and LLMs.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't think a lot of people spend enough time just to have at least a base level of knowledge around the importance of structured data. It's not new in terms of its importance. It's actually been very important for a long time, but it's kind of one of those foundational elements that I think people underserve in terms of how much they understand it and why it's important. Anytime, like, when Google makes a huge core update that takes, I think this one, took a couple of weeks to completely roll out.
Yeah.
Structured data is definitely one of those places where you want to start going through the update to find out, hey, did anything change, right? I mean, people look for any points of devaluation. If you're finding like, oh, like I know I read a couple things where content from forums got devalued. Some programmatic content started to receive penalties in this update.
Yeah.
So structured data is just one of those things where I always tell people, like, you don't have to totally go, to the deepest level of geek on it. Like, you don't have to be Andres and know it like at the deepest level. Like, you can taste the fertilizer. You're so deep in the weeds, but you do need to understand it at a foundational level so that when big updates happen, that you would at least call Andres or whomever is your SEO director, expert, and handling that for your business, and be able to have an intelligent conversation about it, and whether, or you can be taken by somebody who talks about it or doesn't talk about it. And if they don't understand it, there's no way that you're going to understand it. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. I just wanted to add to that for those folks that have been impacted by a core update, people tend to be very reactive. They right away like, oh, I want to change. Like, I want to audit my website and change everything about it and follow Google's guidelines. What we tend to see is, patience is very important. Just waiting around, like being aware of it is great. But making drastic changes to the website is not a great strategy, because then you won't know what's working and what's not working. So being patient, waiting at least 1 month, just monitoring your search results, your rankings and such, and on Google Search Console or whatever rankings tools you use is a better strategy, because then you will know, once the Google update is rolled out, what's working, what's not, and then you can assess. You will have more data, and then you can assess the underlying issues in your site, whether that's content, whether that's mobile readiness, or expertise, experience, whatever it is. Then you can start adding that to your content. But patience is key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people don't appreciate that either. It's like anything in terms of organic optimization, it's a long game. There are very few things. There used to be in the older days. I just created some content the other day where I was talking about the old days where there were there were versions of Google search engine where you could optimize things literally and get first page results. They were usually on very unique keywords, but you could. And so anyway, point being, all these things change. It's really, really good to make sure that you have a working knowledge, and patience is very, very important. You mentioned something a little bit earlier, but we didn't dig in on it. I'd like to get your thoughts around conversational queries. I don't think a lot of people are probably familiar with some of those terms. It might seem self-evident to some, like a conversational query. And this might be helpful for people because you do see a lot more of this over the last few years, is the FAQ content, right? The frequently asked question content is really important. Depending on the business type you're in, it could be critically important to show up and give you a little boost in terms of organic. So search behavior, it continues to get a lot more conversational. How would you maybe advise SMBs using this kind of FAQ style content to tap into those types of queries that might be helpful in driving traffic to their site. And maybe if you have thoughts about it specific to maybe an example for a car dealership or maybe like apartments or, something like that.
Yeah. So to answer that question, I just want to go back a little bit on in time. When people used to search on Google prior to AI overviews, or the search snippet at the top giving you the answer, people had to use the least amount of words. They had to shorten their queries, their searches on Google, because if you typed a long query, if you typed in, for example, I want to say, where is the nearest, let's say, hardware store that has, sells power tools or wrenches or whatnot. Google would just get confused. The longer the search, the longer the query, the more vague the search results would get at times. Google started getting better at this, and they're much better, much smarter at answering long tail queries and questions. But nowadays, if you're a ChatGPT user or any LLM, the way that people ask questions, they include so much context. I tend to include a lot of context in my queries just to get the most accurate question. Response. And so, to me, or to small businesses, what you want to do is instead of having your typical article or blog post that has the intro, that has 3 subheadlines targeting certain keywords, and then you have a conclusion, which is usually the structure that we've seen over the years. What we've seen that's been working is turning articles into more like FAQ style content, where you might have a little intro, but then you just have open-ended questions in the as headlines. You're answering that specific question with your expertise, or with the business owner's expertise, and then you can wrap it up with a conclusion. You can add internal links to other relevant sources, whether they're internal or external. But we've seen a lot of success with those type of articles. They tend to get pulled into the first page, top 3, or even like the people also ask snippets, and even into AI overviews. But we're starting to turn away from those type of just a statement headline for each section, whereas having open-ended questions are better. And you can also complement that with an FAQ schema, like adding structured data, FAQ structured data to your page. So you're kind of like double dipping. You're adding FAQ. You're also adding your article schema. You also answering popular questions. And that's sort of like the advice that I would give to business owners.
I like that. Let me take you into zero click. We've been seeing a rise in zero click searches, but I think there's a lot of people, especially in the verticals that you guys really focus on, that probably maybe you've never heard the term zero click. So as we're seeing this rise in zero click searches, where are users, getting answers without, and how are they doing that without leaving the search results? And I guess in addition to that, what's the best way for an SMB to still kind of log some wins in this kind of environment?
Yeah. Well, the zero click searches is something that it's been skyrocketing over the past year and a half after the AI overview introduction. We're seeing, after 1 year, we're seeing a reduction in clicks because of AI overview, and also with user generated content websites trumping smaller websites, right? Like Reddit, Quora, as I mentioned earlier, and those are getting um, fewer visibility, less visibility nowadays. After this update, we're seeing Reddit and Quora being sort of like demoted a little bit, but yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to get at is zero click searches is when you perform a search, the user is not clicking on any website, they're just getting the answer to their question or their search or their query, and they just close Google or move on. And so that traffic does not go to the website anymore. They, as I mentioned with the law firm example, they don't go through the brand awareness phase. They don't get to go through the websites, sort of like funnel. And so, that attribution is just lost. That user is just, not captured basically. And we're seeing that a lot more with AI overview, and also with the search behavior. Just people well, at least for me, in my anecdotal experience, I'm hearing from other people just how they're being using just regular users, right? Like just non-tech savvy, just regular users starting to use ChatGPT a lot more. And so to answer their questions, right? And so aside from the AI overview, people are starting to lean into AI to get answers to their questions. So it's not even about zero-click searches anymore. It's about like where the attention is going as well. We're seeing a rise in perplexity, and so many LLMs are competing nowadays, and new models coming out every week. It's just completely insane how the landscape changes drastically week over week, not even like quarter over quarter. It's just like, something new coming out every day. We had ChatGPT 4.5 come out last week with image generation. We're seeing like Ghibli style images coming out. Where Gemini Flash experimental came out. Also with image editing capabilities. And there's so much turmoil currently in the AI world / professional world. And, there's also a lot of confusion there because, people are like, which one should I use? This new one came out. Which one should I pick? So
yeah, I've been playing around with a lot of the AI almost since the beginning. I think I started using ChatGPT a month after it was released, and Midjourney a couple months after it was released, Runway a couple months, maybe a month after it was released. And you're right, it does. It's pretty much changing daily. If there isn't a significant release or update daily, it certainly is weekly or a couple times a week. I mean, it is so crazy. I'm on a couple of wait lists for tools that I can't wait to get my hands on. So there's that as well. And I would say this, because on this particular topic, and I bet you give this advice a lot, but it doesn't matter if you're a dealer of RVs or motorcycles or cars, if you are in multifamily listings, lawyers, like really any small and medium-sized business. if you're not even at least going into the free versions, I mean, heck, just go get it. You can go on X and use Grok, for free. There are a lot of them that are for free that are really, really powerful. I mean, the recent Grok update is actually really amazing. But go and search your business. Like, go ask questions about your business so that you kind of see what's going on out there. Because every time I'm talking to businesses that use Premier Online Marketing, or they're going to talk to companies like yours to make a decision, I always tell them to ask these questions of the people that you're going to engage, because they know the answers. Like when I tell somebody, hey, Andres is a good guy to talk to about this stuff because he's doing this very thing. You should also do it for your very own business. The types of things that you think people might ask AI or previously ask the search engine, now they're starting to ask AI anymore. Go and do that for yourself so you've seen it with your own eyes. And you follow that path where it takes you so that you get some insight and some data, and then maybe keep a journal of those things or screenshot it and keep a file of those things so that you kind of have an idea of where this goes, because we're in a brand new era. And you're in a situation where all of us are, where the internet was one thing, and a lot of people think that it kind of came on fast. AI is making it look like, like it took like as long as like an ice age. It's like AI is just turbo light speed, super fast. And there's a lot of cool stuff about it that I think businesses should, put a wet blanket on their fear and make sure that they actually have their arms somewhat around the basic understanding of how it may or may not, be something that they have to be concerned about. Because in a lot of business cases, you need that foundational knowledge, because it actually presents a lot of opportunities for your business to get better, all kinds of efficiencies, just a lot of stuff. And we're talking on that subject of the AI and the kind of changing the role around SEO. Do you think we're moving towards a content strategy that's very heavy on that side of the fence, on the content, and maybe is it going to be less so, do you think, as far as the technical side of SEO, or do you think it'll be still a blend of both?
I still think that it's going to be a hybrid for sure. I think, unfortunately, I think this whole conversation's been about how, zero-click searches have been impacting businesses, and so we're like really focusing on top of funnel content is not the best strategy at the moment. I mean, it's still a good strategy, but it's not the best strategy to like nail down clients and customers, and so and get brand awareness. Still, what we're seeing is content that has a lot of industry expertise is going to be key to business success, right? Offering unique insights, offering original content, and offering tools that your users can play with, or utilize themselves. Also, providing a good user experience on your website is going to be key, and that's like where SEO intersects a little bit with UX, by leaning into technical SEO, leaning into core web vitals and mobile responsiveness and all of that. But for local businesses, I would say like showcasing your industry expertise is going to get you the best results. Even like just creating a case study, or creating like an industry, report that would be, very helpful, involving expertise from other thought leaders in your niche. Creating linkable content, right? Going back to like industry expertise, if you create content that other people can share, Um, we're also seeing, LinkedIn and other platforms, social media platforms becoming search engines, right? So having the attention there, having content and sharing that content in social media where people can look at it when they don't get buried under 1,000 ads and AI overviews, where it gets served to the right audience. That's where it's going to be helpful. So our content strategy is not much more about just ranking on Google. It's like creating a valuable piece of information that other people can share, right? And that can be linked to and get SEO value indirectly. On the technical side, we do have a AI proofing sort of method, and of course, like integrating structured data, making sure that your robots.txt is crawlable by LLMs and search, spiders alike is crucial. All of that is part of our strategy for AI proofing. But I think that we're still going to see a blend of both. We just need to change the intent a little bit, with how we want to, um, how we want to capture the traffic. It's not much more about ranking on Google and getting the search traffic. It's more about creating valuable content that you can share, that can be found elsewhere, and it can be shared in all platforms, essentially.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple more questions before I'm going to let you go. And this next one is kind of around maybe some recommended tactics or tools. Maybe a couple that you would recommend for SMBs right now, if being competitive is kind of on their mind, but they don't necessarily have huge budgets. That always ends up being a factor, it seems like, for SMBs when it comes to all things SEO. Is like, I don't have the budget. Even though they do, most of them do, they just don't realize it, or it's allocated in the wrong places and they don't know that.
Yeah.
But let's just under the assumption that the business does have limited budget, but they're looking for the kind of tips that will help them the most in terms of staying competitive. What would you say those are? Even if it's repetitive of a couple of the things that you've shared, because a couple of things come to mind that you've shared during the episode. But if there's anything else in addition to that, I think that would be really great for people that are trying to be budget mindful but still competitive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the best tool that you can use, as a local business owner for SEO is always going to be Google Search Console. And it might be overwhelming to look at the platform as it is and the interface, because you might not understand how, what the difference between impressions and click is, how Google gathers their data. But at the end of the day, as long as you have it installed on your website, via tag or HTML tag or whatever, and you're collecting data, you'll start to see what people are searching for to find your website. And a lot of times when your website's not optimized for those specific queries, you will start seeing some glimpses of it. And then you can couple that with an actual, paid SEO tool such as SEMrush or Ahrefs to do like a deep dive into what the actual search volume of that is. There are, of course, cheaper tools such as Mangools or Keywords Everywhere to get that data. But I'm just recommending the ones that we use. And yeah, I mean, Google Search Console, one of the SEO tools such as Ahrefs, SEMrush, Mangools, or Keywords Everywhere. And I would pick one AI tool. I mean, it's not an SEO tool, but as you mentioned earlier, I think it's a great recommendation to add an AI tool to your stack, to your tool stack, right? Just having a go-to, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Perplexity, whether it's Grok, being able to consume that information is very, very valuable. And it just gives you a better, a different perspective of, how LLMs that have, they spend billions of dollars pre-training them, and they have 100,000 GPUs running to give you this output. It's very interesting to see what they consider to be valuable and invaluable output. And so, sticking to one AI tool. My personal favorite one is Rock, as well as you mentioned that one earlier. For general purposes, I really like that tool. And there's a few others that I recommend, but they're a little bit more niche. But yeah, I think Grok is really good. And I would add that to your tool stack as a small business owner, to really just speed up how you learn about your business and your industry, and see what's being said or discussed out there.
Yep, I think that's good advice. Grok's just easy, but I don't know. Maybe some people are like, oh, I don't like X or whatever. Like, get over yourself. Just go use the AI tool. It's a really good tool. So it's, I don't know. It's one of the first I would do. I would tell people the same thing. Like, Grok's easy to jump into. It's really good. It's like really, really good. The recent update, obviously, the most recent version of ChatGPT is awesome. And I think I don't know for sure, but I think ChatGPT still has a free version. Might be the older. It's not the fastest one, but it's not that difficult to go find one of them that you can use for free, just to get your dip your toes in the water. I think that's important. Yeah. So last thing I want to ask you about is what will your mindset be around if you had to give just a piece of advice for making a small business website resilient, like that'll stand up to these future Google updates. Because I think a lot of people, especially in the verticals that you guys serve, but all small and mid-sized businesses are always looking for tips and best practices and those types of things. So as it relates to when Google updates happen, is there anything they can do that would, just make the site kind of more resilient, or just what they should be mindful of? What would that be?
Yeah, I would focus on what really matters, right? A lot of times people get bogged down by the little details like website load time, alt text optimization, when in reality, their title tag, their headings, their not even the content has the keywords that Google or the topics that Google is or users are searching for, not Google. And focus on the things that really matter. Again, title tag, headings, keyword or topics in the copy, cover as much as you can in it. And obviously, having internal links helps. If it's not in the homepage, definitely focusing on internal links. The other piece of advice for business owners is just focus on reviews. I think a lot of times business owners are like, "What else can I do? What else can I do?" But they have 5 reviews on their GBP, on their Google Business Profile listing, and they're not even good ones. And so reviews play a key role, as I mentioned at the beginning. Is just it's a big trustworthy signal. I think more than 90% of users look at reviews before making a purchasing decision, especially if it's a big life. How do you say it? Just a big decision, such as where you're going to live, and where you're going to where if you're going to make a big purchase, if you're going to be doing hiring someone to like, just like your money, your life kind of thing. And so being able to have those signals on your listing, it's not only good for click-through rate and but it's also good for conversions, ensuring people go to your website or make a phone call. We've seen really good websites and listings get buried under the search results because they got a barrage of negative reviews and the business owner did not do anything about it. And unfortunately, because people, of course, are going to start clicking less on a listing that has less than 4 stars or 3.9, Google's going to start promoting ones with more favorable reviews. And so a lot of times people disregard that, but it's really important for businesses to stay on top of those reviews, and even like the type of review that you get, like include as much media as you can, whether it's photos, videos, or just write something nice about your experience. That's going to help the review stand out and also stick around, so it's not automatically removed by Google's filters. So yeah, focus on what matters and gather reviews is going to be my top 2 tips for business owners at the moment.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of the POMCAST. Huge thanks to you, Andres Fernandez, for joining, sharing some serious SEO wisdom. If you are an automotive, apartment, legal, or just about any small business owner trying to navigate the fast-changing world of search, remember, it's not about chasing trends. It's about staying strategic. And that's exactly what Premier Online Marketing does for their clients. So check them out at premieronlinemarketing.com. Depending on where you are viewing and or listening to this, please like it, share it, subscribe, virtual high five us, and all that good stuff. And until next time, remember, with Premier, search leads to success. Thanks again, Andres.
Thank you, Sean. Good to see you. Okay.